You entered a relationship that you feel like God led me, I'm very sure, but it's scattered. I was damaged in this relationship. How? I'm talking on behalf of all of us, all of the people who have suffered quiet heartbreaks. Don't be putting our faith in man. Even if God shows you the man, you know him, you know his phone number, you know his house address, you know all his heights, his weight, and everything. Still keep on looking to God. Hello, if you are new here, my name is Olajumoke. This topic I want to talk about today, talking about it on behalf of all the sisters and maybe brothers who have at one point in time in their life thought that they had God of, a potential spouse, but it did not happen. Maybe because they entered the relationship, but the train did not get to the final destination, or the thing did not even take off at all. There was no relationship in the first place, and then you are in that place where you're like, did I hear God? Does God love me? Do I have a hearing problem? You're probably questioning, every other thing that you thought that you've ever heard God tell you and that you held on to and believed that God led you in that direction. If you're in that place where you're worried, you're sad, hungry, whatever it is you're feeling, and all those questions you have, and you're thinking if there's still something for you in your marriage, in your future, and you're wondering if it would ever happen where God would speak to you about something and it would come to pass. I am making this video for you if you're that person, and just stick with me, as your sister in the fellow, by God's grace, I am happily married, the best spouse, and I am a mommy to the most beautiful girl ever. I am very satisfied, fulfilled, and I know that I am in the will of God for my life. So how did I move from a place where I thought, where I believed that God spoke to me, make it up? What could have happened, between God spoke, I heard God, but it did not happen. It is that gap in that middle that I want to talk about today. So I know that this is something that, not many people would be comfortable to talk about, especially sisters, and especially if, they have not seen the manifestation. So I'm talking on behalf of all of us, all of the people who have suffered quiet heartbreaks, but they're like, let me just keep quiet. And I think one thing that I want to begin with in this video is that there is nothing to be shameful about. People hear God or think they heard God about a business and it did not work out, and nobody is shaming them. People think they heard God about a particular thing that did not happen, and nobody thinks that there is anything. So there's nothing to be shameful about. It is part of your journey. If you look at it very well, like I am going to be sharing with you today, looking in hindsight, you would get a good perspective, you would get a beautiful understanding, and you will see that God is still in your journey in all of those disappointments, and betrayals. Do you understand? So I think the first thing I want you to know is that you're not alone. I've been there, not once. That makes you feel better. Yes, so you are not alone and you are not cursed, and God still loves you like his own daughter or son if a brother happens to watch this video. So I don't want you to feel like maybe there's a problem. I know, right, that people say it has to do with emotions, and then people hear all sorts and all of that, which can be a factor, we would get there, right? But I am still saying that people have heard God about other serious things that did not work out, and they could have been emotional about those things too. Yeah, they could have been so engrossed in what they thought and all of that, and then people applaud them and say, it's fine, try again. They are not ridiculed, they are not shamed, they don't feel less of themselves, and they're able to move on. But maybe when it now comes to marriage and you think that you heard God, but it didn't happen, and then people are like, so I hope that you feel better already, right? And I hope that you just have some relief within yourself already. Looking back in hindsight, how God helped me, in those times, even before, I got married. And now that I am married, I can look back, and have a better understanding. There are a few things, that I have come to understand that I believe will be very helpful to you. And I want to begin with this. Not to gaslight you, not to make you question yourself, but I think that it is a good place to begin from. And it is that there is a possibility that you could have been wrong. I'm not saying you were wrong. I'm not saying you did not hear God. I am saying that first of all, you must come to a place where you're like, I had convictions, I had scriptures that God gave me, I had dreams that, I was sure that was from God, I had signs and all of that, but maybe I was wrong. Now, this is important because, see, so long as we are still here on earth, so long as we are still in this world, right, we know in parts, we prophesy in parts. It is only when we get to heaven and we are with the Lord that we'll see everything clearly. So I think that it is okay and it is very healthy as a human to leave that gap for God, where you are like, I don't know everything, no. I really believed I had God. I really thought that my emotions was not involved. Maybe you didn't even know this person because it's not all about emotions. Yes, in my case, this person in this particular case, there was no emotional anything. Do you understand? So I wasn't even praying about anything. Do you get it? So you could have all the confidence that I heard God, I have scriptures, I have dreams, there were confirmations and all of that, but leave the gap, leave the possibility, believe that it is possible that I could be wrong. God alone can heal you of many things. And we are not God, we don't have all the full pictures, and sometimes even in the best of the best convictions and states that we think we are in, because we are humans, we can miss it, we can misinterpret what God said, we can misunderstand what God is showing us, and it is okay. If you believe this, you leave it to God's sovereignty, and you're like, well, I don't know it all. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I didn't get it right. But God knows it all. It would help you, because you don't also want to be in that state where you're like, I could never have been wrong. I was sure. And then there's pride. You won't even be able to learn. You won't be able to move forward. And God resists the proud. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, you must be able to say, okay, Lord, you are the one who knows all things, and you have my best interest at heart. And if I was wrong about that, it was okay, I am open to correction. You are still, teachable. Do you understand? And you have not closed your mind and be like, see, there's nothing anybody can tell me. God told me, God spoke to me. I heard the voice of God at 2 a.m. That's the first thing that really helped me to heal, to move on into the new that God has for me. The second thing that helped me and that gave me a better perspective to what happened is that it is true that God can want a thing for you, God can desire a thing for you and communicate it to you, but between a promise and manifestation, Satan can hinder. If we do not do our own part in ensuring that what God has spoken comes to pass. Sometimes we hear from God, we are excited, God has spoken, and we are waiting for it to happen and manifest, right? And we forget that we need to partner with God, for the fulfillment of that thing. And so sometimes it could have been that the devil was able to hinder that from happening because of the failure of our partnership, because we didn't apply ourselves to walk with God and stay with him, to ask him more questions, know what we need to do, know the steps he will need us to take, and we were just maybe there and just hoping that okay, it would happen, I am waiting and all of that. So we partner with God by praying, studying the word, making more inquiries, listening for more, because yes, okay, God told you will marry XYZ. What other things did he tell you? What other information did you give you that you could work with? What did he ask you to do? Why did he tell you that time, and what were you supposed to do with that information? Do you understand? So sometimes we hear one thing, we run off, we don't hear the other things, and then the enemy is able to take advantage of that gap, and then you find out that Satan hindered us. Like Paul said, in case you are looking for a scripture to back this up, he said, we wanted to come to you again and again. It was the will of God that we come to you, but Satan hindered us. So it has happened, it can happen, and it is still happening. So for another time, when God speaks to you again like that, right, sit with the Lord, ask him more questions in case you think that this may be where you have missed it. Pray, sit with God to get more understanding of that instruction, of that revelation that he has given to you, and what you have to do on your own path to ensure that that thing he wanted to do, comes to pass. Another thing could be that on their own part, they were unwilling to yield to the will of God. This happens, it happens, yes. And I'm going to back it up with scriptures, Because marriage is not just you. It is you and another person. It is the will of two people that needs to align for that thing to happen in addition to the will of God. Do you understand? There are cases where the other persons, they probably maybe even got the same conviction, but they're like, it can't be this brother, it can't be this sister, Lord, talk to me again, show me another person, and they will not answer. Like, they will be like, no, maybe, I don't know, for whatever reason, idols in their heart, their picture of who their spouse is, and God will confront them and say, this is the person. And they will say, and God will not force them. God cannot force them. God respects our will. So if he showed you, and you were waiting, expecting, praying, doing everything that you could do right, and they didn't show up, it didn't happen, it could also be because, they didn't want to listen or yield. And at one point, God will be like, somewhere, I have rejected Saul. How long will you stay to mourn? Move on. Go and anoint David. Stop crying, stop mourning. It was not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. But Saul has just chosen to misbehave. And I have also chosen to move on. God is not wicked. God is a very loving father, If you have tried, we are always children, and God has different children, And we are all at different stages in our walk with God. And again, marriage is very sensitive, People have what I like, what I don't like, and sometimes when they see the will of God, and the will of God is not looking like, what they thought it would be, some people may not be able to come to terms with it, and they'll be like, no, I don't think so, and everything, So just to put a disclaimer here, I'm not saying that God wanted to force the other person to come and accept a will that they do not like. I strongly believe that, if God shows you his will for your life, he's going to put the desire in your heart, it's going to cause you to love that person very beautifully well. But if you don't even come to accept the will of God and you are saying, let me first like the person, you may not get to that point. Do you understand? So I'm saying that could have been the case where, the person that God showed you or spoke to you about was not willing to follow. And the beautiful thing about God, you'll be like, okay, I have many sons, and that's why you can't sit down and think that, your life has ended because, or you will not marry again because it did not happen when you thought God told you there was somebody. No. And again, I must say this here, let's not be putting our faith in man. Even if God shows you the man, you know him, you know his phone number, you know his house address, you know all his height, his weight, and everything, still keep on looking to God. Still keep on looking to God. Don't now go and put all your hearts in one man and say, okay, I have gotten to the destination. Humans are fickle. It's God that led you. So stay with God, remain with him, put your faith in God. And if for any reason it didn't work out, and sometimes, some people get to find out that, the person didn't like them. Like, no, I don't like her, I can't. Move on. God will give you somebody better, somebody that you would look back and even be like, why was I crying? Why was I sad? Why was I disappointed, that happened? And you will be very happy. Do you understand? So I'm sharing this to help you to say, you know what? You have mourned and cried enough. Get up. Maybe God has even been trying to speak to you to say, Don't you believe that I have something better for you if this one did not work out? Why are you there? Maybe you entered a relationship that you feel like God led me, I'm very sure, but it's scattered. You know, I was damaged in this relationship. How? And God is like, I get you, but can you move on? There's somebody else I have for you, because that place where you are so stuck on that other person and you cannot see that there is not one person for you. There is a kind of person that can be your husband. So there are plenty. Do you get it? And God will lead you to somebody part-time. So I'm not saying God's going to confuse you and lead you to 3 people. No. Part-time, per season, God will lead you to one person. So if it doesn't work with one person, there's another opportunity in front. You understand? So don't put all your hope and all your heart in one person. I hope this helps. Another reason why that could have happened that I'm going to explain, and this one is not something that I think that people are very knowledgeable about or is being talked about much, but I have experienced it for myself. I've had other people talk about it, well-respected, people in the faith, and I really believe it. And the story of Abraham came to mind as I edited this video, how God led him to sacrifice Isaac, but God didn't want him to sacrifice Isaac. God just wanted him to give up Isaac, and I thought to add this as a scriptural proof to what I am saying. It could just be it for you. It is that God can really lead you, like that leading was from God. It wasn't manufactured to a particular person that this person will be the husband, but that's not the person you will end up marrying. Like, God is just showing you a possibility of what can be, or using that person to confront a thing in your life that will not allow its will to come to pass. I'm going to give a little example here. In my case, that God was leading me to this person, right? But there was one thing about that person that I didn't like. To be this person that I would say, let me be a bit vulnerable, that I don't even mind marrying my age mates, I am very okay with it. Maybe let's have 2 years gap, but once it's getting wider and wider, please count me out of it. And this person was quite a bit older than me. So when in that period where I began to sense like God leading me in that direction to that person, right? I was resisting that thing. I'm like, I didn't know this person's age, but I went to do my research. I did some calculation. This person finished school in this time. And no, they are not my mates. They are not my mates. There's a gap. So guys, and I knew in that season that it feels like God is trying to confront this thing in me that, see, guys, in all humility, before I got married, I believed that I was very submitted to the will of God for my life, and that, whatever God wanted me, whoever God had for me, I believed that God had the best for me. But if there was one idol I had, if there was one thing that I'm like, Lord, on this matter, please, do not try me, is on that age thing. I so much felt like, oh no, I want somebody close to my age, like just max 2 years gap. Okay, let's not overdo it. I can't marry my age mates, I don't mind. But I felt in that season that this thing, hey God, see guys, I'm telling you that I struggled with it, that, and I'm like, hey Lord, how I don't like the age difference, how will we do it? Mind you, this was me feeling being led to that person, that God was saying, okay, this person is like a potential partner. And I was like, see guys, it was very serious. That there was one day I was in church, I struggled so much. Hey, it was as if God sent my pastor to me that day. Like, I said, okay Lord, I surrender. I finally was like, okay, it seemed good to the Holy Ghost and to me. I'm going to yield. And guys, immediately I yielded in my heart. The kind of peace, hey God, my peace that had disappeared for weeks, I felt at peace, I felt okay, and all of that. So I now started waiting. Okay, brother, come. I've accepted the will of God. And of course, I am not all for go and be asking anybody out. Please, I don't think so. I don't like it. I don't subscribe to it. So of course, I waited. Like, okay, Lord, you've spoken to me, right? He's going to come. My people, I waited. I waited. And this brother didn't come. And I was like, oh God, why? I was on my own. You not came to meet me. Why did you do all of that? I was actually, angry, and I was like, you know what, Lord? Don't talk to me again about this marriage thing. Let's just focus on that intimacy journey between you and me. Heaven is what matters. Heaven is the goal. Leave me and marriage alone. This disappointment is enough. I was on my own. Why did you come and disturb me? I wasn't even, so guys, at that season, like I said, to be more serious, I actually felt like this thing is what God is confronting in me. But first of all, I didn't really know it existed. It could happen, that God can be leading you to do something that He doesn't really want you to do. He just needs you to submit and agree that you will do it. How did my deliverance happen? At the time when, I felt okay, I'd moved past the sadness and anger, out of the blues, God had sent my mentor to just call me, speak to me, and I didn't even tell him about it. And he just told me, forget everything that you think you've heard from God. Pray again and be open again and all of that, right? And, at the point where, I was in that process, I'd listened to the Supernatural Marriage Course by DDK, right? And the first module, my people, God used to answer people's question. He may not answer it when you think you need the answer. But He knows when the answer will really help you. I've moved on like, okay, maybe I was wrong, maybe, I shall know that I'm a child of God. God has led me before, and I have seen it that what God said happened. So I knew that it's not like I don't know how to hear from God. So I wasn't doing test one with my marriage. I used to hear from God and it used to come to pass. Why is this one like this? But God helped me. I moved on and I was listening to that supernatural marriage course, right? And the first course, PDDK says this thing that it is possible that God can show you somebody. I should thought, but it's your prototype. It's not it. I say, I've been delivered. Oh, anyway. So I wasn't crazy. That thing I thought God was actually doing was it. God was confronting me. I felt delivered. Like I was healed completely. There was still a fragment in me that was not healed from that pain and that anger. My people, I got healed. I'm like, okay. Because at that point I'm like, can this be real? Does God do this kind of thing? Can He really lead me to this person but not really need me to do that thing? He just wanted me to submit to His will. He just wanted to be sure. I felt delivered. I'm like, oh wow. And I wasn't even looking for that answer at that point. I just wanted to listen to the calls, and prepare better for my marriage and all of that. The second person that also further gave a confirmation to this was Reverend Kenneth Hagin. I was reading his book. I can't remember the title. Maybe it is about discovering how to be led by the Spirit of God or something. I can't remember the exact title of that book. But he stated about how God was trying to lead a particular minister to a particular country where he didn't want to go to. But that God didn't actually want him to go there. But God just needed him to submit and to yield that he was actually going to go there. Guys, I'm like, hey, so this thing is a phenomenon. So it used to happen. So I wasn't crazy. Because honestly, I'm like, I didn't manufacture it. What happened? There are some that I be like, okay, I think I was wrong. But this one, I'm like, it's a bit difficult to accept that I was wrong, Maybe it was my... But when, it was just like God helping me to get perspective and just giving me clarity. And I was just like, okay, I wasn't confused after all, This was actually what happened. It was what I perceived in my heart that God did with that case. And I'm sure that if you stayed in this video up till this time, you have probably gotten one or two answers to the question in your heart. But I'm going to end, with this, So what do you do going forward, right? Maybe now you have an answer that, okay, this is what happened, What can you do that will place you in a position where, you know, God can find you, God can speak to you and lead you, you know, into marital bliss, and you will really be happy? The first thing I will say is this. I've been saying it in the video all too, but I'll just say it again for emphasis. Be open-minded. Remember not the former things. Don't allow, okay, I didn't get it didn't happen. And you know how the devil will make you question your sanity. Don't give the devil that chance. So do you understand? Believe that God is going to do something new. In fact, take this video as a confirmation. If you're looking for a confirmation that God will do something new with you, God is going to make you happy again, God is going to make you laugh again, God will lead you. Be open to being led. Be open that God will lead me, I will get it right, and I will not be confused, and it will come to pass. Do you understand? So I want you to remember not the former things. Don't be stuck on whatever happened in the past. Move on beautifully well. And when God comes to you again, don't close your heart and say, again, Lord, is it going to happen? That's the first thing I'm going to say. And it leads me to the second thing, which is don't allow doubt to hinder you. Like I said, the devil wants to question your sanity, your entire existence. He wants to question everything you ever thought that you heard from God, right? But please, hold on to the word of God, that, you know, you would get it right, you would get it accurately. And even if maybe God has started leading you again now, you are scared and you're like, will it happen again? Because when God, you know, now led me to my husband, I'm like, hey God, I don't stay for my own now, you are now come again, please Lord, I don't want issues and problems, I am on my own. But God is like, you know, this is me, you know, don't allow that fear and everything to hinder you. You know, God gave me reassurance, so be reassured that, you know, you are a child of God, you are staying, you are abiding, you are praying, you are studying, you are learning and following God, you will hear God again. See, people hear God or make mistake, and they move, and it's part of the journey, my people. It's part of the journey. That's why I say don't allow anybody to shame you. Don't feel ashamed for anything. Yes, no matter the level that any believer has gotten to, they can make mistake. They can hear God and it may not happen, and it does not make them less spiritual. We are human beings, like I said at the beginning. It's part of the journey. Something did not happen then. Maybe I'm not a Christian. No, don't allow the enemy to cheat you out, you know, and question and make you question, you know, what God has already been doing in your life. So be open again. Realize that it's also a part of the journey. I can sit down here today to share this to encourage you. If it did not happen to me, I don't have encouragement for you, you know. So God comforts us with the comfort that He has comforted others with, you know. And finally, make sure that it is not in your marriage that you are first trying to hear God. If that's your case, I don't believe you're hearing, okay? God must have led you in other things. God must have asked you to do other things that you did and that showed that God, you heard well. Do you understand? You can't be doing a test run with your marriage and that's the first place. So no, make sure that you are obeying God in other things. You have heard God in other areas of your life, and it has come to pass, so that you are sure that you, at a basic level, you know what it means to be led by God and to walk with God. Do you understand? And if you are in that place where you're like, I don't know, people like say I'm just doing test run, then maybe you need to begin from there. You need to learn how to hear from God, how to know the voice of God, and you know how to know when it is God speaking to you. With that, I have come to the end of this video. I hope that you could relate. I hope that you had one or two questions in your mind that has been lingering answered, and I hope that you were blessed. Let me hear from you in the comment section. Let me know what spoke to you the most in this video. Other people will also be reading from you and they will get encouraged. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Share. That your friend that came to cry. Share. Tell them, see, I found the answer to this thing. Tell them. Share the gospel of this channel and subscribe. Okay, so that you will get more videos. You will know when I drop new videos. Till then, I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.